Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Caitlin here from Florals.com and I have another how to kill a kit with style process video. Now this is from my January kit. I think this will be the last one that I film, but I did say I was going to keep my kit together as well, and I do plan on doing that. But I did make this one after I had actually done the rest of the January stuff. So this one was not in the kit share because I actually filmed the kit share before I filmed this video. But I do want to keep working with this kit. So I kept it together, and this is the first thing that I worked on. I did pull out a sketch there, and that's from the Laura Whitaker sketchbook that you guys have heard a lot about, I'm sure. And my camera does have a little bit of a hard time focusing on just the white background, so I apologize that it does go in and out when that's pretty plain. But I also pulled out my scraps for this layout because I have a ton of these scraps. But the sketch showed that there would be two photos, and that's why I picked it. Two 4x6 portrait style photos, and these are the two I picked out. And these are two from Sam and I visiting the Capitol building. And this was a really fun layout to work on. I kept it relatively simple besides the paper layers. And again, I've been trying to get back into paper layering and get into that fun color mixing and matching process that I used to do. So I'll be pulling in a lot of different pattern papers from my scraps, and also I'll be using this as an edger paper. This was part of a page kit that I ended up not using this 12 by 12 of, so I ended up cutting out the center piece here using my trimmer. And if you guys would like a tutorial on this, I know it might be different for different trimmers, but I hope you guys I could help you guys learn how to do this pretty easily. But I just end up cutting out a 1-inch frame and then gluing it down. And this white cardstock is actually from Hobby Lobby, so the Paper Studio brand, and it was just 12 by 12, and it is textured, which I don't really care about my cardstock being textured or not. I usually like texture. It really just depends on what I'm working on. So this one happens to be textured, and then I like how it lets the colors on the outside really shine because of the white next to it. So all of the pattern papers that I'm using today are from my stash kit, and I won't tell you where each individual one is from because I shared that in a lot of the other process videos, but generally they are from 4 different paper pads. The florals generally come from the Conservatory paper pad, which is by Craftsmith, and then I also use some from let's see, I'm waiting to see which one I pick out. That one's from Simple Stories Life in Color, which is a baby pink, and then I also use some from the travel paper pad, which I think is called Let's Fly Away, which is from Recollections. And lastly, I have the Maggie Holmes Bloom paper pad involved as well. And then this one, actually, I always forget that I used 5 paper pads instead of 4, but this is from the Mint and Lacy collection from DCWV. Again, I used a lot of papers on these layouts, and I'm really glad to be using them, including my scraps. I think that helps provide a lot more sort of reflected effort, because if you just use some bits of 12 by 12 papers and there's still a lot of scraps left over, it's kind of like, did I use any of it? Whereas if you start using the scraps and full sheets start disappearing, then you can really tell a difference. So here I start pulling out some darker pieces of scrap paper, and these really help bring in some contrast to the layout. Now this one here, the butterfly one, is navy, but it's a dark enough navy where it kind of blends in with the black, so I didn't mind. And I'm actually going to bring out one of my old tricks for layouts, which was doing some pen markings or marker markings, where I do some freestyling with a marker or pen. And you can also see where I showed you on the sketch that there are circles which look stitched. I decided to actually use this Copic multi-liner, and it's a gray color. I'll try to find a link for it down below, but essentially what I do is just freehand some circle sketch pieces. I've done this on several layouts before. It used to be a great way to add a little bit more dimension to the layout without having to add bulk, and I really like doing that when I had little supplies back in college. So I'd recommend doing that. Some freestyling can be fun, and I like how it also matched the sketch. So here I'm going to start building out some of the strips that it suggested on the sketch, which help the photos feel like they're not floating, which is often a thing that I struggle with, is that my photos feel like they're floating because I often work on the paper layers before I work on the actual structure to the layout. That just tends to be what I work on, but after I run out of adhesive, I need to switch that out real quick. But I am very excited to be using so many scraps. So once that was finally fixed up, I decided to use this as the non-floater piece of the base. So kind of, this is the shelf that my photos are going to sit on, and to give them that permanent place on the layout. I also pull in some of the washi tape that I had included in this kit, This one, particularly the grid one, is one of my favorites that I own, and I cannot remember for the life of me where it is from. I probably told you guys where it was from at the beginning, but I do not remember right at this moment. But I like how that brings in more of the dark contrast, like those blacks and navies that I was pulling in to get contrast, because I do plan on bringing that in for my title and embellishments as well. So I just want to make sure I keep doing that. So here I decided to put down another piece of washi tape because it suggested that the title should go down here. Now for the proportions on this layout, I should have moved my photos up so I had more room for a title, but that's not how it worked out in the end. I also tried to use this little strip of pattern paper to bring in more of those floral notes, but I ended up not using that. I thought it was a little bit too much. But I do make it into a quick banner so I can use that as an embellishment on a future layout as well. One thing that I might have changed on this layout is probably inking the edges of the white cardstock. I think they're quite plain. I might even go back and add some doodly borders with the gray marker because I don't want too much contrast. But here's where I start pulling out my title. I'm going to use these Pink Fresh Studio stamps again. These are one of my favorite things that I put in this kit. They were a new item for me to use, but I got to use them, I think, 3 or 4 times on some layouts, and then I'm going to stamp out my title. Now I do most of this off camera because my camera was dying at this point, but I'm just going to use my black VersaFine ink and then some baby wipes to wipe it off as we go along. So I'm going to spell out the word tourist. I should have done tourists, but I wasn't really thinking, so we end up with tourist, and I'm just going to stamp that. With the textured cardstock, I do find that sometimes the stamping's not perfect, and I do tend to also go back and fill it in with a black marker just to fill in some of those little patchy areas, which is a great tip for any pattern paper that you might be using or stamping on, is to fill it in with some black tape. So my camera did cut off for quite a bit, but I'm going to finish off the title with some basic gray letters, and then I'm going to touch off the rest of the page with some black stickers from the Life in Color sticker selection book there. And then I'm looking for some enamel dots. I end up going with these pearls instead, which I think are super fun. And you guys will see more of the details in the close-ups. But that's pretty much it for this layout. I kept it pretty simple. I kept the contrast with the black elements and then added some dainty elements with the floral notes and the pearls. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already for more content. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.